Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Let's talk a little bit today about plagiarism and fact cards and what you're looking for when you're collecting facts from sources. So, first of all, just a little explanation as to why I teach research this way. Of course, one of the great pitfalls that I find when students do research is the issue of plagiarism. And so I want to remind you that it is your responsibility to make sure that your work is your own work. So how do we avoid that? That's one of the big stresses I see from my students is how do I make sure that I don't borrow accidentally or steal somebody else's work? So one thing that I want to show you, and this actually is kind of a play on Dante's Inferno, so if you're aware of that, it is that as you go down the circles of hell and in the Inferno, the sins are greater in Dante's hell. So the punishments are also greater as you go through Dante's hell. And I think on a very strange level, that's a really great way to explain plagiarism. So I realize this is a little hard to read, but I just wanted you to kind of get the overall idea that plagiarism is not clear cut. There are different types of plagiarism. Forgetting to put a citation in your paper is technically plagiarism. Now, am I going to give you a zero, turn you in, all of those things? No, I'm not. I may take off some points, make a note. Hey, don't forget, you have to cite every time you borrow somebody's work. Things like that. As we get a little deeper into maybe, something more specific, you don't use quotation marks when you borrow somebody's exact words, and now you're missing chunks of citations. Now we need to start talking about plagiarism more seriously. And maybe it's just that you didn't create your citations correctly or you didn't quite understand. Typically in that case, you may have to redo the paper or, take a significant point decrease. Now, where it gets really nasty is a couple of places or a couple of ways. One, you turn in a paper that sounds vaguely familiar to me because a student before has turned this paper in. That's plagiarism, and that's a flat out zero because you made that conscious choice to steal somebody else's work and turn it in as your own. So that's a no-no. Also, if you copy paste something from the internet, even if it has citations, because plenty of them will, but if it doesn't sound like you and I Google and I find it, that's again using somebody else's work as your own. This is not your own work. You will receive a zero. Something, a little more serious, like you bought a paper. A lot of times I can find those. That becomes, that you will be receiving a zero. So just understand that there are gray areas around plagiarism, and making a little tiny mistake is not going to be the end of the world. So hopefully that takes a little bit of stress off of you. As long as I can see in 90% of your paper, you did great and you had your citations exactly where you needed them and you quoted when you were borrowing somebody else's words and all of these things that we'll talk about when we get to rough drafts. As long as I can see all of that, it'll mean loss of points, but it's not going to mean, a zero and turning you into academic affairs. Where it becomes really a problem is when you just flat out take your paper from somewhere else. That's a big problem. Or if you have significant portions of your paper that are uncited, or cited incorrectly, that's where we have some more issues. So just know, if it's little things here and there, again, you'll lose some points, but overall, it's not going to be quite the same deal. So just understand that plagiarism is a gray area. I have a lot of students who sometimes wonder why one student gets to redo a paper or just misses points while some other student gets a zero. And I hope that clears that up some, that there are degrees of plagiarism, and then therefore there are degrees of consequences that come with it. So The easiest thing to do is just make sure that you do your own work and you do your best to make sure that you follow the rules that I teach you, and you'll be just fine. And part of those is that you've already turned your citations into me, your works cited citations. This week, we're going to work on facts, so collecting facts from our sources. And so, as long as you keep following the process with me, the students who complete all the steps that we're going to go through for these next couple of weeks, I don't have any problems generally with their papers. So trust the process. I've done this a long time. Trust me that I'm going to teach you how to do this correctly, okay? All right, so let's talk about what exactly you need to find for your facts, because now that you have sources, that's the next step, is you need to pull facts from those sources. Remember, those facts will serve as supporting details for your paper, okay? So the paper is your paper. You need to say what you're going to say. But what am I looking for out of these sources? What am I supposed to do with them? So that's the point of your sources, is to pull these supporting details from experts in these fields to show that, you're not just some crazy person coming up with these ideas, that these are legitimate, logical ideas, okay? And since you haven't done your own research, you don't have your own facts and statistics to use to support your beliefs. So this is a way of using other people's statistics and facts to support the points you're making. So what we're looking for are a couple of things. First, you're going to be making an overall claim. That's your thesis, right? So what is it, your overall thesis for your paper? Then you have to decide in your body paragraphs, what are you going to claim in each of your body paragraphs? So you need to figure out where you find similarities in topics between your two sides. So where maybe one side talks about finances and another side talks about finances. So one of your claims then should be something about finances. Okay. Then you're going to present your support. So why one side is better than the other. Then you will make a counterclaim for why, the other side, the side you're not supporting, what they would say. Then you can then rebut back to your side. So it's kind of like this teeter-totter thing you're doing in your body paragraphs. You're going to make a claim, something about finances maybe, present your side and maybe what your side has to say, provide some counterclaim from the opposing side, and then again a rebuttal back to your side. Okay, so that is how you build a strong argument, is you make a claim, support your side, acknowledge what the other side would say, and then say, okay, but here's why they're wrong. So it's kind of that general flow, and then you just lather, rinse, repeat it over and over and over again in your paper. Okay, so that's what you're going to do, but you need facts from your sources to do that. So you're going to make your own claim. You've decided what you think the side you're going to support is. So all of that is your ideas, okay? But then you're going to use facts to, provide supporting details for each of those. You have to know what those sides say and why they say them. So in your digging into your facts and your analysis of your sources and finding facts, I want you to keep this model in mind. Make a claim. Then what does my side say? How would the opposing side counter? And then how will I rebut the opposing side to really lend credence again to my side? So keep that in mind. That's what you're looking for with your facts. Finding the places where the two sides sort of butt together and where that argument is then being had. So, maybe it's a particular point they're making. Here comes my child. You want to say hi, Scott? Hey, I'm making a video. You want to say hi to everybody? Hi. Okay, go find Dad. So you want to say hi? Hey, go talk to Dad. I'm making a video. Love you guys. She's rocking her Crowder shirt today. So hopefully maybe this graphic will help you kind of think of how this flows together. So In each body paragraph, in essence, this is what you're going to do. You're going to give me your main idea or your claim. Okay. Then you're going to say, okay, but here are, some of my reasons, my evidence. Then you're going to provide a counterclaim. What does the opposing side say? Okay. And maybe why, why they believe their side. And then you're going to finish strong by balancing it back to my side. Okay. By saying, oh, but here's maybe their weakness, back to my side. Okay. So for example, 2 years of college should be free. That's something that, people are talking about right now. So maybe one of my points is student loan debt is keeping people from being able to own a home. And so, here are a couple of reasons why giving 2 years of free college would help them buy a home. Maybe the counter argument is, well, but they don't have to take out those loans, and having student loans and managing your college finances prepares you to buy a house. I don't know, I'm just making this up. Then I could come back to my side and say, yes, but, and so that's that rebuttal side. Okay, so make a claim that's kind of your like topic, sentence, main idea. Provide your side, counterclaim, rebuttal. Okay. And so maybe this graphic kind of helps you think through what that would look like. So then you just repeat it now with the next topic, and then with the next topic, and then with your next topic. Okay. So you need to kind of be looking at your sources and considering what are the main ideas I'm seeing being discussed on both sides, sort of doing that analysis skill of, where do I see my two sides discussing similar topics? And then how can I then make those fit together? So to do that, to make all of that work, you've got to have facts from your sources. So that's what we'll talk about in the next video.